Between the time I was 11 years old and the time I went off to college in 1951 was about 6 or 7 years. And while I was working, I came to 2 or 3 conclusions. Number one, I wasn't smart enough to invent something patentable, and I wasn't lucky enough to hit a gold mine or an oil well. And therefore, if I wanted to create something, and I'd like to be a businessman and do well, the time would not ever be as good again as it was right at the end of World War II. So I reluctantly came to the conclusion that I would come back and prepare myself to spend the rest of my life building on what my parents started.
Dad and Mom were always very generous, but they didn't have very much. They started in the Depression, and there was not excess funds, and anything that was available was set aside for their 3 children's education.
As I look back in the family, we've been very blessed with people who were lawyers, who were doctors, who were educated people that have been passed down. And that combination of sifting down generation to generation, it's not just 1 or 2, it's just a whole group of people that we've been blessed to have come down to us that's allowed us to go on and do good things, create things and do good things in the world.
Mother, as the company was successful, became a philanthropist, known as a philanthropist in Fresno County, and was honored in the 1980s as Philanthropist of the Year. And as she received and benefited from the company's success, she was able to do more and more for the community. And I wanted to continue the same feeling that if Mother thought that the priority should be philanthropy, that would be my priority.
You look up there, you see on the top the company's support, my mother's support. She was always ready to support the zoo before my wife and I had the money to do it. And then my wife and I have our name up there, and Bill and Ann do, because we all gave some level of support to this part of the zoo, the elephants and the tigers. Hi! That was mine and my wife's, and then one of the larger ones there. This one was from my mother. A little smaller one that Nanette and I gave up there. It's just half the size. I don't know how much money, but it's probably about half the money my mom would have given.
Our zoo is sort of the pride of the area, but it's one of the few things that is successful and has the money to make it successful, because the city is so poverty-stricken that by the time it takes care of social issues, there's nothing left for culture. When you start talking of socialism in the United States, or you start talking about what you deserve and what you're entitled to, I believe we need to help people to help themselves. And that's what the engineering school at Fresno State, the money we've given to engineering at Purdue, the innovation and entrepreneurship programs we've done, that is the way for upward mobility for the kids that are trapped in crime and drugs. This is the room where every week you have a businessman or an entrepreneur from the community come in and lecture the group in this room. And they gather at the tables and they give a talk about their business, and they learn from listening to people and their experience. The 3 of us, my brother, sister, and I, don't get together a lot, and she's never been involved. But she has a saying that my family did when Gerald, Mary Beth, and I were kids. We'd gather around together and say, one for all and all for us.
When we would gather in a huddle, put our arms around each other's shoulders, and we would sing, "One cake of beer for the 5 of us. Glory be to God that there are no more of us, for one of us could drink it all alone darn quick."
Or damn near.
Bill, in his own way, has been very generous with the Fresno community. Gerald has done the same with the zoo in Fresno, and my emphasis has been in Tulare County. I'm very proud of our family.
My name's Delphinia, and I'm here to represent the 4th generation, and I have a couple of questions for you.
All right.
How old were you when you started working at the Lyles? the Lyles company?
Well, this may sound strange, but I was 11 to 12 years old.
What message do you have for the fourth generation?
Well, I've spent my life trying to build this company because I love doing it. It gave me a wonderful life and living, and I couldn't have thought of anything I'd rather do in my life that was more qualified for. And I hope that what we've created can be enjoyed by fourth generation, fifth generation, and on.
Diversification is something that one understands why is a construction company simply going off and doing things like agriculture, apartment buildings, and development. Bill had already been involved in real estate in a way with a friend, Jerry Kozlowski, and he thought that perhaps it's something our company should get into also.
You risk the branch of a tree, but not the trunk, is my way of saying it. And everybody in the family and everybody in all the businesses, profit and non-profit, that I work with know that saying. Build not with the idea of going for home runs, but just with the idea that time and the law of geometric progressions, if you can limit the losses and build on the profits, something pretty successful can come over time.
I would say for every big success we've probably had at least 6 or 7 that were failures. And it goes back to Bill's comment about the branch of the tree. I could tell you story after story right now of absolute failures, but none of them ever cost us, but if even a branch, maybe a twig when you get right down to it. Pelco journey was a great journey. I was prepared for the Pelco journey because I'd been in manufacturing. I understood manufacturing, I understood the accounting associated with the manufacturing, which is very different than construction accounting. I'd been in manufacturing plants and seen processes there. We'd had Buckner before that in manufacturing. So the journey with Pelco was fun, seeing something be successful, which Buckner had not really been.
That's the reason why we've diversified into numerous businesses, some of which hold real value, like our agricultural interests and our apartment interests along the coastal area will hold real value. Diversification was a way of balancing out. I just try to use common sense, and I don't trust everything that's told to me. I think it through. Is that reasonable? Does that make sense? And then I've had enough experience traveling around the world, watching things happen, that you can pretty well predict what's going to happen. And I sit here and I read and I study and I try to continue to see what's going on in the world, because you can always predict a bubble when people think short-term instead of long-term, what they're entitled to, what they deserve, and you can prepare for it. You don't know exactly when it's coming, but you know they come periodically. You have all kinds of economic data that politicians and economists use, Austrian school, Keynesian, Chicago school. Not one of them works all the time. They're just little mathematical formulas. There's only one thing that's common to all of mankind, the repetition of human nature. That's the only economics you can count on.
The 10 grandchildren each married and ended up going to different parts of the United States. And with the distance, there became strangeness.
Why is it important that people, rather than go out in our family and go off on their own, stay with the family? It's not important that every single person do that, but we have a real need to have building blocks to hold together.
The first generation starts a business. The second generation builds on the business. The third generation depletes the business. And by the fourth generation, the business is lost.
My dream is that not happen in our family. We're moving, hopefully, we've gone through 3, into 3, I know that's not happening. That's farther than many. But whether we make it to 4 or 5 depends on how many of them can see the opportunity and joy in continuing what's been begun for them.
If we don't have an infusion of family continuing to come into the business, then the business will ultimately fall apart from a family standpoint. There won't be the interest in a family except as strictly a money machine rather than a place of gathering. And today, the business is the lives of many people, and we hope it'll be the lives of more.
I was lucky enough to have a son who felt the same way, and he's coming along, and he's geared. We're making the transition to him running the company right now.
There are doors that open when you have the financial resources that we have together as a pool. And those doors would not be open to any of us as individuals. But together, there's opportunities and things that we can pursue. It's so nice for me to see my cousin Kathy involved here now, to see my sister Anna Ree as president of the family council, to see Adriana and Tom and Jerry and Ann and Kathy and Steve and Bill, and hopefully I didn't leave anyone else, but to have all the cousins, the third generation, there at the family council and being so supportive. You discover a special element of having family involved. As the family gets larger, there's just more and more potential out there. The second generation, the third generation has a lot of accomplishments. The fourth generation, there's a strong talent pool and capability, and to me it's going to be very exciting to see what the members of the fourth generation do with the potential over the years. I'm hoping some come into the business and find their passion here, whether it's inside the business or outside the business. It should be exciting to watch what they accomplish. I think the biggest fear is that what we've created for our family and our business becomes a negative in the lives of family members. If it causes people to lose focus, lose direction, lose their sense of purpose in life, to me that would be very sad. The company, the financial, the wealth that's been created, we hope very much there'll be a positive in everyone's life. We can do more together, but it's also to help everyone do more individually and help them maximize their individual potential. We've been given a gift, and hopefully we can do something with that gift.